Hey, my friend, if you want to improve your life, if you want to become the best version of yourself, if you want to get rid of bad habits, I have a message for you. I want to share a mistake that I made over and over again, and every time I made this mistake, I had to start over again. And the problem was not just that I had to start over again, the problem was that I was now mentally in a much worse position because every time I failed, I started to criticize myself. All this negative self talk was kicking in. I felt like a failure for not reaching my goal, and I felt frustrated about myself. And then I started to procrastinate. And it took me sometimes weeks or months to try again, to get rid of my bad behavior. And I lost years with it, really a lot of time. And maybe I can save you some time. So, first thing what I learned was I learned the basics about my body and my brain, about my nervous system and my body. It made it a lot easier for me, but you don't have to study too much. What I The basic principle what we need to understand is that as a human being we can operate from two states. We have two states to choose. First state is survival mode, and the second state is, let's call it, living mode, the state where you are enjoying life, or where you don't have too much stress and worries. You are happy and or peaceful, loving, and yeah, more relaxed. So like the name already said, survival mode, it's just for fight, run, and hide. So it's not a state to make long-term decisions. It's not a state to choose how to make moves in your job or in a relationship. And if you do that, it can create a lot of trouble. So I made this mistake many times. So first time we have to recognize in which state we are at the moment. And what I want to tell you, or what I want to share with you, is every time you stop any negative habit, any bad habit, it doesn't matter if you stop eating too much sugar, or if you like to quit drinking or taking drugs, or any adult media or meaningless relationships. Every time we try to stop this negative behavior, we go into survival mode because something is missing now. If you don't eat as much sugar as you used to, or alcohol or drugs or whatever, your body will tell you something is missing. And if something is missing, and if you are in survival mode, you will your body will produce a lot of stress hormones to move you, to bring you back to your old self, to get more of the stuff you used to do, to just to bring you back to your old self. And to do that, it produces a lot of stress hormones and a lot of adrenaline. And then we feel stressed and nervous, and there can be a lot of different withdrawal symptoms. It depends on the substance, but the basics is this state of nervousness and stress and anxiety, fear. I experienced it every time, doesn't matter which substance. And every time when I was in this survival mode with all this adrenaline and fear, anxiety, stress, my ego was kicking in, and my ego was telling me, okay, what we gonna do now? We have a lot of time. Um, we need to do something. And for example, in my case, I wanted to quit these negative behaviors or these bad habits because there were different reasons, but the main reason, for example, was I wanted to make more money because I wanted to take care of my basic needs and I wanted to travel more. I wanted more success in my business and in my work relationships. And yeah, that was the main reason. So when I stopped doing all this shit, I was into I was going into survival mode. I felt all this anxiety, fear, stress, adrenaline, and then my ego told me, okay, now it's time, and now we have to do something. Now we have to work more for, we have more time, so let's do it. Let's get it going. Let's do something. And the problem is, if you are in survival mode, it's not the time to make any long term decisions. It's not a time to make any decisions in your relationship or to start a new relationship or something like that. If you are in survival mode, you are just good in when it comes to running, fighting, or hiding. We cannot use our full brain capacity in this state. It's natural. But I always made some moves. I couldn't sit still. I thought I was, yeah, like I said, I was thinking, okay, now I have all this time, and now we are coming back to what I usually talk about, limiting beliefs. Because when I sit still, I'm not allowed to sit still because if I'm not working hard, I'm lazy. I got told this in my childhood and as a young adult a lot. Even as a child, I had to start working hard when I was 3 years old. I started to walk and I was not the best worker, of course, but I had to join construction sites. My father gave me an axe and a hammer, and I had to try my best every time, and I have to learn. And I was helping in kitchens. We had a lot of different businesses, and I never got just presents. I love dirt bikes. I'm a dirt bike rider, and when I was 3 years old, I wanted a dirt bike, but my father never. He started, if you want a dirt bike, go and work. I worked 10 years my ass off as a child to get this freaking dirt bike. So back to the limiting beliefs. I have I had a strong belief that I always have to work hard. I couldn't accept myself to enjoy and to take a break. And it's really a problem, especially if you have to recover from some substances or some bad behaviors. So that was my biggest problem. Every time I stopped something, my survival mode was kicking in, and I felt like useless. I had to do something. Now I have time. Now I have to make my dream come true. Now I have to give, I have to work more in my job or more at my business or whatever. And every time something went wrong. I made the false decisions or I worked my ass off and I got burned out. And then I was falling back and I was taking more drugs, I was drinking more, I was consuming more stuff, and yeah, you can imagine. It was always really bad. So the first thing, if you want to stop something, you have to notice. If you feel stressed, anxiety, fear, or if you feel the urge to do something, take a step back. Take a step back. Survival mode is not the mode where you want to make relationship, business, or any long-term decision. The first thing you have to learn now is to sit in peace, to be comfortable with yourself. And it took me many, many years. It doesn't take long, but you have to understand it. Now I understand it. Now it's easier. You have to understand, if you are sitting in the fire, if your body freaks out, you have to tell yourself, you are doing something right. You are doing something right. You don't need to hustle more. Yes, you can make some plans, but calm yourself down. Wait until your body is in a relaxed state, and then think about your passion, think about your purpose, plan your business, search for your job, or think about your next job or something. But if you feel stressed after quitting something, don't make a move. That's the time when you have to feel good about yourself. It's you don't not good, but you have to accept yourself. That's the time when you have to accept yourself, and because everything was telling me I have to do something. I will lose something if I'm not starting now. I lose time, I lose money. That's all BS. That's not true. The best thing, if you are in survival mode, you have to get out of survival mode. That's your main priority. That's your main goal. You have to be peaceful again. You have to feel relaxed. And if you don't feel, you will have these challenges where you don't feel relaxed, you are full of adrenaline and stress, but tell yourself you are doing something right. Because if you do nothing else, like literally nothing else, at least you don't do the stuff that you used to do. And that's the main goal. That's if you want to stop and change yourself. The main goal is to not do the stuff you used to do. And it it will suck. It sucks at some point. Your body will freak out, and sometimes you feel better for a time, and then something is triggering you, and you have all these symptoms, all this stress and adrenaline, and tell yourself you are doing something right. That's because you feel this way. It's I used to think when I feel bad, I do something wrong. That's possible, but it's not always the case, and especially if you change yourself, you will you will feel bad at some points because a part of you is dying, and you have to acknowledge it, you have to accept it, and you have to be loving and kind to yourself, and bring yourself back into a state of peace and in a relaxed state, and then think about your next move. And don't work more, because you will eventually burn out like myself. And because if you do something, you our main priority should be to stay in this state of in this living mode. in the state of enjoyment, peace, love, and happiness. Because, for example, if you are we are all warriors, and if two warriors are fighting, the one warrior is fighting out of fear because he hates the other person, and the other person is fighting for his family. He is fighting from a state of love. He is not fighting because he hates the other person. He is fighting because he wants to protect his family. So you can guess which one has more power. And I can tell you, it's the person who fights out of love. Because if you fight out of fear, you are in survival mode and you don't have the full brain capacity. Yeah, you can fight, but if you fight from love, you have your full power. You also have an adrenaline and stress rush, but you have a lot more brain capacity. And this example is for every situation in your day-to-day life. So even we don't need to fight in our work or something. We can do our best, but not because, oh, I need more money, or I I cannot take a break because I have fear that I lose something. I have fear for losing my job. I have fear for not making enough money, or I have fear that I lose time. That's not the right motivation. You will not be able to make the best decision out of this state. And I had to learn this for the last 15 years. And I always failed. Of course, I learned a lot, but now I came to this simple conclusion. Normal people know this stuff, but I'm not normal. I had a really difficult childhood, and even as a young adult, I was constantly struggling. Nobody told me how to love yourself. Nobody told me that it's okay to take a break and it's necessary to take a break. My family is still working. They are working their asses off. And they are stressed and they have enough money, but they are not happy. Sometimes, but it's not the main state. It's main state is survival mode and stress for them. So I hope this helps someone. Just remind yourself. Be conscious about. Just notice. You don't have to do anything. Allow yourself to take a break. And especially if you are in survival mode, sit down, be with yourself, listen to meditation music, take a bath, go out into nature. Focus on your breath. Your main priority is get out of this state. And if you are in this state, you are not wrong. Everything is fine. You are doing something right. So if you are still here, I love you so much. Thank you for spending time for me. And maybe you can share this video with someone who needs it, or you can like this video that we can share this message and kick the algorithm a little bit. And yes, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, and see you in the next video.